Going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. A quorum is present and the meeting was duly posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. And the time is 5:34. Mr. Dickerson, I understand Captain Mahalchuk is here to do the pledge.
Yeah, before we do that, let's have Ms. Augsburger lead us in prayer.
Okay.
Lord, we just thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us, and thank you for allowing us this opportunity to be in Joshua ISD and to serve our families and our students, Father. We ask that you watch over all of our surrounding counties who are experiencing these wildfires, Lord, and be with the first responders who are trying to help get them out. And also, Lord, please bless us with some rain. We ask these things in your name.
Captain Mahalchuk, you're up.
That's right.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Joshua ISD will be a high-ranking model of educational excellence.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Okay. Emily, do we have anyone signed up?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Then at this time, we are going to move in to our public hearing for the general public to address. And so the public hearing,
To address which one shakes from the school budget
yes.
and have a lot of
Yes.
those.
Discussion. Conduct public hearing for the general public to address the board regarding adoption of the 2026-2027 JISD school budget and the JISD ad valorem tax rates for maintenance and operation and debt service needed to support that budget.
Okay, Ms. Martin.
Right, good evening, President Thompson, Mr. Wilkerson, and members of the board. We'll be having our public hearing for our 26-27 budget.
And times 536.
Thank you. So this budget was created under these assumptions. Thank you. With student enrollment of 6,134, we were conservative with this budget and budgeted for a flat APA. Taxable values were relatively flat, which is a 0.87% increase. So that maintained our tax rate is going to stay the same, and then local revenue states, M&O and state revenue net is relatively the same. In this budget, we did have some considerations under payroll compensation. We included added some new positions and then also some general pay increases. And then other operational expenditures was some increases in our transportation budget, adjustments on our property insurance renewal, which actually favorably to us. We do have some elementary school startup expenses budgeted in here, and try to address some facility maintenance and technology needs done. So for our proposed budget, we are proposing $71,754,072 in revenue and expenditures of the same amount for a balanced budget. For our debt service fund, we are proposing a $14,110,446 million revenue and expenditure balanced budget. And for food service, we do have a $430,000 deficit right now. There were some capital needs that needed to be addressed, and also just monitoring what that's going to look like. It was from last year because of the kitchen being down, so we'll is a conservative budget for us, so hopefully we'll be monitoring this very closely and keep the board updated for any changes. So in total, the budget that is in your board packet is the budget on the screen, and it will be proposed, presented to you by function as required to adopt the budget at the functional level. For the tax rate, so our tax rate is made up of the our M&O tax rate, which is what funds our school district day-to-day operations, including instruction, curriculum, teachers, staff compensation, and then we also have an interest and sinking piece of it, which is strictly used to pay our bond debt, and that makes up our total proposed tax rate. Now for our M&O, the first part of our M&O tax rate is the maximum compressed rate. This is determined by TEA, and because our values did not increase more than 3.6%, we only grew 0.87%. We are staying the same, so there's no change from tax year 2025, and that's our MCR of 0.6192. Our tier 2 enrichment pennies, these were all previously approved in previous years, and we have 0.1383, giving us a combined M&O tax rate of 0.7575, and that is no change from tax year 2025. So that gives us a 7.7575 M&O rate and an INS rate of 50 cents of 1.2575. That's no change from tax year 2025. And then as you can see, we've had that same tax rate since 2025. Now, the no new revenue rate is, I'm required to share that with you all. So that's the tax rate that's rate is similar to local tax revenue only. So the rate that theoretically would produce a tax levy similar to last year, but this tax rate assumes that there's no interaction with the state's funding system. The total tax rate includes both M&O and INS, and this was calculated by our designated person who calculates our rate, which is Scott Porter, our tax assessor collector. And so the calculated MNR is 1.21135, and our proposed total tax rate is 12575. There is a 4615 difference, which there is a required motion because there is a difference coming. Okay, and that concludes that public hearing for the Joshua ISD budget and tax rate.
Okay, thank you very much. The time is 5:41. We'll close that meeting out. We will now go into the public hearing, conduct a public hearing for the general public to address the board regarding the adoption of the 2026-2027 JISD Hill College tax rate.
So for the Hill College, they do have a branch campus maintenance tax that's levied in North Johnson County by several ISDs to help support the Hill College branch campus in Cleburne. The maintenance tax may not exceed 5 cents valuation. And so the proposed tax rate is to maintain the same tax rate as previous years, which is 5 cents. The no new revenue tax rate calculated by Scott Porter is 0.049253, and then the voter approval rate calculated is 0.053303.
Okay, that concludes that hearing, and at this time it is 5:43, and we will close that out. This time we will have the public hearing to consider the results from the evaluation on the effectiveness of accelerated instruction programs for high school students. And the time is 5:43.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Sorry, Mr. Hickerson.
Go ahead, Ms.
Interrupt you. You all know me. It's Michelle. Good evening, everyone. So this is our annual report where we look at the effectiveness of our, basically our at-risk kids who are on this report because they have not done well in the past on their standardized test scores. And so what this looks at is The funds that we receive are compensatory education funds, and we do divide those amongst all of our campuses, so not just our high school. We use these funds at all campuses. They provide things like our math and reading and science lab teachers at some of our elementaries. We do dyslexia training and strategies with these funds. We reduce class sizes. We do individualized tutoring and small group instruction. We double block some of our math classes at the secondary level. And also we have some EOC instruction, accelerated instruction classes that we use these funds for. This also helps to support full day pre-kindergarten, so pre-K, and some counseling service and mentoring. So really these funds are used in a lot of different ways across our campus to help these kiddos, to help them to be more successful. So every year we want to see these numbers go down, and I do this presentation, and every year I'm happy to say they do go down. Now granted, they fluctuate though, because we have to keep in mind that while we are removing kids from the list, we also have new kids enrolling that came to us also at risk for these same indicators. So we don't always see as big a fluctuation. So when we compare this report to last year, our numbers weren't quite as big, but we still see that we had a lot of kids to drop off. So for instance, if we're looking at our 9th through 12th grade students, these are considered at risk for criteria 3, which is again those state test scores. And we started with 551 students at the beginning of the year, and we ended with 301. So we had 282 students removed from that list. So that was really huge. When we move on to our middle school campuses, a little less students dropped off here. So we started our year with 464, and we ended with 326. But again, still getting kids off that list, and that's what we want. And then finally, our elementary schools. For our kids that are STAR tested, that is the indicator that we use, and then at the lower grade level, there are some other standardized tests that are approved by the state that we use for those younger kids that aren't quite STAR tested. And so you can see that we started the year with 944 elementary kids on this list for at risk, and we ended our year with 454. So huge gains. Our principals and our teachers work really hard to make this happen, and of course our content specialists support them, and just everyone in the district and our curriculum department is a part of this. So I love doing this report. It's always positive, and it's positive again this year. Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This time we'll close that up. And the time on that is 5:46. At this time, we will move into our subject items. First subject. Subject A. Consider adoption of the 2026-2027 Joshua ISD Budget General Fund, Food Service Fund, and Debt Service Fund.
Okay, Ms. Martin just presented the proposed budget, and in addition to that, it was presented to you guys on August 10th, regular board meeting. That reflects adjustments within our compensation plan, which include a 1% of midpoint general pay increase for exempt staff and 2% of midpoint general pay increase for non-exempt staff, including strategic adjustments. And my recommendation would be to approve the 26-27 budget for the general fund, food service fund, and debt service fund.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve subject A.
We have a motion by Mr. Cody Lee. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Ryan Watson. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Subject B. Subject B is consider adoption of resolution setting the 2026 tax rate.
Okay, so the 2026 ad valorem tax rate sets the levy that provides the revenue for the 26-27 general fund and debt service funds based on the 26 certified estimate value of the Central Appraisal District of Johnson County and the maximum compressed rate MCR determined by the Texas Education Agency. A proposed tax rate of 0.7575 for maintenance and operations and 0.50 cents for 50 cents for interest and sinking is presented for overall rate of $1.2575 per $100 valuation. And so the $1.2575 proposed tax rate is more than the no new revenue rate, and the same as the voter approval rate calculated by the tax assessor collector. Since the NNR is more than the proposed tax rate, specific motion language as it was required. And so my recommendation would be to approve the resolution for levying a tax rate for Joshua ISD for tax year 2026.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 1.2575, which is effectively a 3.8% increase in the tax rate.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Kevin Lee. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Randy Cisneros. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Move to subject C. Subject C, consider a resolution levying a tax rate for Hill College, Joshua ISD, for tax year 2026.
Okay, a branch and campus maintenance tax is levied in Johnson County by several independent school districts to support the Hill College branch campus in Cleveland, Texas. The maintenance tax may not exceed 5 cents per $100 valuation. The proposed Hill College tax rate is at 5 cents per $100 of assessed valuation and is the same as the 2025 adopted tax rate. The 5 cents proposed tax rate is more than the no new revenue rate and less than the voter approval rate calculated by the tax assessor collector. Since the NNR is more than the proposed tax rate, specific motion language as stated below is required. In addition, since this year's estimated levy exceeds last year's levy and the NNR M&O is more than the proposed tax rate required statement, so it's been included in the resolution setting the tax rate. This tax rate will raise taxes more for maintenance and operation than last year's tax rate. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 1.31% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately $0. And recommendation is approve the resolution levying the tax rate for Hill College for Joshua ISD for the tax year 2026.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.0500, which is effectively a 1.52% increase in the tax rate.
We have a motion by Mr. Hunter Burr. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Cody Lee. Any discussion? All in favor?
We'll still call it hours here, I think, so.
7-0. Okay, we'll move to subject D. Consider approval of the 2025-2026 final budget amendment.
Okay, the final budget amendment is an estimate where the district anticipates revenue and expenditures by function at the fiscal year end, and Ms. Martin will present that information.
Board presented is the final budget amendment for 25-26. For your first page, there is a general fund operating fund budget amendment. This includes where we think revenue and expenditures will be, also with some room in there for audit. It does include some audit entries that we are required to post, some GASB, DRS on behalf, those usually at zero. And at the same time, we have also included a transfer out to capital projects fund that we discussed in budget workshop. This did increase from what we originally told you then, to $1 million transfer out. That includes the server has increased in pricing to $350,000. We have the deductible that we're trying to set aside in the event that we have an insurance claim for $250,000. Wanting to purchase some programs for $150,000, and then some capital POs we know are not going to be completed at the end of this year. That's around $250,000. For the food service budget amendment, actually there is not a change, but I did want to present to you how we are ending. It does not look, we're not estimating a $641,000 deficit, but again, there's still a lot more audit entries and things that we need to enter. So that is the final budget amendment. And then for the debt service fund budget amendment, this does additional redemption of Series 2016, and then also increasing state aid due to additional state aid for doing the
Okay, my recommendation would be to approve the 25-26 final budget amendment.
Okay, do we have a motion? There's a motion by Mr. Cisneros. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Hunter Byrd. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Subject E, consider purchases over $50,000 for the 2026-2027 school year.
Okay, so these are purchases over $50,000 that will allow us to go ahead and get started immediately on September 1, and I'll let Carla go over those. Most of these items are service related. There are a few different items in there, one of those being to purchase a new Suburban for this year so we can continue to add to our fleet. Taking those older fleets and then moving one of those older fleets to technology, and then one going to help our 18-plus kid, or 18-plus program. And so then we'll have these new fleet or newer Suburbans for our student populations. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, most of these are recurring expenses that we have every year. The exceptions are, so you see they're sorted by for food service, general fund, an estimate for our teacher incentive allotment designation fees. Most of these are recurring. The ones that are one-time purchases that are included in the budget are, as Mr. Hickerson mentioned, a fleet purchase to add to our fleet. There is this Chromebooks of the $150,000 that we're utilizing the transfer to go ahead and purchase. And then also some desktop computers for our esports department, and that's going to be coming from, not department, class, from the bond. And then the last two items in the list are for the dance choir leader New York trip. This is funded by student activity funds, mostly fundraising funds, but because it's all coming through us, we are issuing it. And then finally, there is a change order for WRA. What we had initially taken to court 2 years ago was an estimate of based on the fee of 6.5%. As we are getting closer to having those funds, that estimate has gone up. But again, we will only pay once we're all settled up with a project of that total 6.5%.
Of that total budget. Percent hasn't changed. Yeah, the percent hasn't changed.
It's just the total.
Yeah, and just for clarification on the trip, that's them raising their funds to pay for it, that they haven't gone through, I guess, rep back to us, or however, so we have to bring it to you guys for since it's over that $50,000 line. So, recommendation would be approve the purchases over $50,000.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve subject E as stated. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ryan Watson and a second by Mr. Hunter Byrd. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Subject F. Consider interlocal agreement for dispatching services with Johnson County for the 2026-2027 school year.
Okay, we do this annually. Chief Nolan, can you kind of inform them exactly what this is?
That is our bill for our, it's twofold. It's the bill to use the radio on dispatch, on Johnson County system, and then they bill us for actually using their dispatch system. So it's twofold, and that's our bill that we received for this year. And I think it went up $2 on the handheld radios. We're billed separately for those, and then we're billed for actually using Johnson County dispatch. So that covers both bills.
So my recommendation would be approve the interlocal communication system dispatching services of Johnson County.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion we approve subject to
Motion by Mr. Cisneros, do we have a second? Second by Mr. Cody Lee. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to subject G. Consider revision to the 2026-2027 compensation plan.
Okay, so Ms. Brackwell has been working closely to get this up and running. We noticed there was a few changes, recommendation from Chief Millian in regards to our safety patrol monitors, so they're on here on campus with us during PD days, and so they can do the training with our officers, was to change them from a 160-day calendar to 172, which then allows them to be on campus during those professional development days. Adjustments to our auxiliary pay scale to better align some of those positions with current operational needs. Some of those including removing, after talking with Blake in operations, reworking some of his structure amongst his staff, removing the groundskeeper/athletics, and removing the lead grounds, and then adding, changing that to assistant painter, and then adding assistant supervisor of maintenance and grounds instead of groundskeeper or lead grounds. And so really just adjusting those within those pay scales to better fit what the market is and in comparison to what we have on our staff. And so it's really not adding anything other than just adjusting those pay scales within our compensation plan, and then adding a certified counselor substitute pay to our substitute pay scale so that we can hire a certified counselor to sub when our counselors are out and off campus. So my recommendation would be approve revisions to the 26-27 compensation plan.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the revisions of the compensation plan.
We have a motion by Mr. Kevin Lee. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cody Lee. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Subject H. Consider easement agreement with Willow Creek Ranch Owners Association.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of touch base on this. Recommendation tonight is kind of to table this into the next meeting so we can get some more information on this. So just kind of go back and forth. We've been working with Willow Creek Ranch. We had that prior agreement established with them to come in and provide crushed asphalt on Mockingbird throughout, or every year for the past, I want to say the past 4 or 5 years that we've done this with them. Been looking at trying to see what some type of permanent service was, or permanent structure that we could put down on that road, something like a paved asphalt. But in order to do that, we wanted to have an easement granted that gave us access to that road for an extended period of time, especially if we're going to invest money into that road. And so this duration, they gave it to us for 20-year agreement that can be renewed for successful 5-year terms upon that agreement. So in conversation with Ms. Wilson, we talked about the business in the back location of that area that uses that road, and can they help partner in? We'll make contact with Mike Peacock, the city manager of Joshua, and he said, man, I don't think they have much of a business going on back there. I guess they've kind of changed hands quite often back there. Well, Cliff went back there. We were able to actually establish the relationship with that business owner, and the business owner was under the impression that within his closing documents that he has ownership of that road. When you look in the CAD, there's really not, it's not presented on who owns the road. So we were waiting on him to get us some documents that showed that within his closing documents. He was not able to, or he didn't provide those before this meeting. And so at this point, I think it's best to, until we can get further clarification, to table this until another meeting, before we do anything to this road.
Does he have any documentation as far?
Well, he was supposed to get it to him. Cliff actually went out there before this meeting, but I don't think he was able to make any contact with him today.
I'm talking about like, he ought to have something that says he can use that road.
Yeah.
Isn't that what he's looking, I mean, he's
Well,
looking for it?
he's under the impression within his closing documents that he has true ownership of that road. And that's what made us kind of throw up our hands like, wait a minute, there's some red flags here. So that's why we're like, it was already posted, so that's why I wasn't able to pull it down.
We've been led astray.
I know.
I led to think that,
Because the homeowners think that they have the actual ownership of it, so.
that guy back there, they had approached him and he wouldn't do it, wouldn't help in any way.
I know.
And that's why we haven't been,
Well, I think it's changed from that hand at that point to who it is now. And I could be wrong, but that's where Mike Peacock said, I think it's changed from who it was initially when the agreement was established with the homeowners association with that road, so. This guy, however, has told us that he will contribute to the road, and we've looked at, he wants to add another 2 inches to that paved asphalt, and he would pay that additional fee, or additional amount, so that we can get that paid for some of his trucks to go down the road, so.
And
There's-
let us have access.
Huh?
And let us have access.
Yeah, we would have access, so, if he's not able to present documents.
Get an easement from him.
Right, right. Right, rather than HOA, but if he doesn't, then our establishment would have to go back to the HOA. But in the meantime, he has said that he will help contribute to the thickness of that road. So help us with that piece.
Which is a positive.
Yeah,
that guy,
And this
I
is
was
pretty
that guy.
yeah,
I was that guy, make plenty nervous. You don't own that road.
yeah, oh, absolutely,
Well, if you don't know anything, at least he hopefully has the easement.
yeah, so. He was under,
Easement would be filed record.
Yeah.
Ownership would be determined by the legal description. In a survey.
Yeah, let's see. One of them
Well,
needs to be served.
but I think like we went through the whole process to be granted now, did we not? And they couldn't,
No, so they said it was that.
they said it was with the HOA, so.
No,
No, with the company? Okay, so now it's the HOA that's out on there, so we just gotta get the documents from that company and establish an agreement with him. I mean,
That's what it.
nobody knows.
What
But,
if we grant, we never do the.
well, that's what she's saying, that her, the last bills that came back and produced granted. At one point, they were going down to log news stations to find information on it. But I guess what she's saying is the company has
but then
ownership.
the way claimed it was, then we thought previous research was wrong. So.
Yeah, so,
But what company, is it one that owns it now, or is it was previous?
Either one that owns it now.
Yeah. either way, we've gotta dig a little bit deeper to,
What happened? The prior owner had ownership of it, and they sold it.
Well, he owns it, yeah.
so. I'm assuming what happened, and I don't know full details, but I'm assuming the original owners granted easement to the HOA, where they thought at some point they had some type of ownership, and in reality, they just had an easement agreement, you know? So.
It's gonna help us with maintenance on that.
He's willing, is what we've been told. So, if he presents that document and the information on the ownership of the road, then we'll sit down with him and establish, some type of agreement. Yeah. So like I said, this may be just null and void with that going forward, so. And it took us a while just to get this too, so.
Need to be fixed.
Yeah, I know, we get calls, constantly on it, and so we're in a process, or we're in a position where we want to fix it, but now this is presented with another hiccup in that point.
Anybody ever drives on it, you understand why they complain.
Yeah, so my recommendation tonight would be to table this, agreement.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table the considered easement agreement with Willow Creek Ranch.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Hunter Byrd and a second from Mr. Randy Cisneros. Any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Okay. I don't believe we have anything for executive session, so at this time, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Cody Lee and a second by Mr. Brian Watson. All in favor? 7-0, time is 6:09.